As coronavirus infections and unemployment rates continue to rise, politicians refuse to come up with a plan, and the guys who killed Ahmaud Arbery are arrested. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the Guide to Freedom Show. Alrighty, so I hope everyone has had a great week. Happy Friday. We have a lot to get to today, so let's not waste time here. Let's jump right into it. So, I was actually going to start with the Ahmaud Arbery case because there's a lot to talk about there, and of course, a lot to talk about the coronavirus stuff too. So, a lot more to talk about the coronavirus. So, I'm just going to start with this story and move on to the coronavirus stuff. But, anyways, I'm sure probably a lot of people have heard this story by now, but basically back in February, actually, there was this guy named Ahmaud Arbery who was simply jogging in his neighborhood, taking for a morning jog, and then two guys who say that he was involved in some burglaries in the area, even though there's no evidence of any multiple burglaries. There's actually one, and that was at a construction site. Someone ran through a construction site, and there's really not much evidence that this guy was involved in it. So, being overzealous, these two guys, and then some two other people decided to chase him down, and then stop in front of him as he was jogging, and then came confront him with a shotgun. And just think about it. If you're just jogging, and then some guys come up to you with a shotgun, and if you fear for your life, and you have every right to defend yourself. So what Ahmaud did, that he actually went in and tried to grab the shotgun from them and try to disarm him because he didn't know if they were going to shoot him or not. And then when he tried to do that, they had a tussle, and then the guy shot him, and then two other guys shot him too, and he was killed. So it's a very, very bad case. And here's actually a video that came out, which is what actually started the whole outrage over it. So I'm going to actually play the video. And fair warning, this is a pretty graphic video. So if you want to, you can skip over. And it's about a 31-second long video, so skip over that if you want. But just err inside of caution for this video. But here it is, right here. So this all, you didn't actually see him get physically shot. It's not really good graphic video, but still, it is still pretty disturbing. And obviously, this is murder. Obviously, there's no justified reason why these folks should have gone after him in the first place. Because again, there's no evidence that he actually committed a crime in the recent past. Yes, he has a criminal history. He was I believe brought a gun on school property years ago or something like that, and then was involved in shoplifting a few years back too. But again, that does not really play relevance into this case because again, there's no evidence that he actually was involved in any burglaries or at all. So the only incident that happened is that he may have gone through a construction site. And the last I checked, that's not really illegal to go through an construction site, especially if you're just running through it. So the kind of really lay out case of criminality against these guys who shot him. There's a piece in the Dispatch by David French, and he is gonna scratch his side. Oh, guys, he actually has lays out a really good case for charging these guys. But here's what it says. On Tuesday, my friend Jane Costin at Vox emailed me a link to a 36-second video clip showing it in graphic detail in the killing in Brunswick, Georgia, of a young black man named Ahmaud Arbery. Jane wanted to know what I thought. I've watched the video and I've watched it again. I've read the police report and the prosecutor's explanation of his decision not to seek an arrest warrant and the relevant experts of 911 calls reported in local media. I'm ready to tell you what I think. So obviously the video I actually showed was not the full video. I mean, that was just the only video I could actually find. Everything else had like a news story attached to it or whatnot. So I'm going to actually post a link to this article in the description below, so you can kind of go through yourselves. And there's multiple links to like a police report and 911 calls and all that in the full video. But anyways, it continues right here. Ahmaud Arbery's killers should be arrested and tried for murder. Their vigilant action looks less like the heroic actions of armed citizens upholding the law and more like an old-time posse executing a vile form of street justice on a young unarmed black man. Let's walk through the events. Grab some coffee. This is going to take some time. Just after 1 p.m. on February 23rd, a person called 911 to report a black man in a white shirt walking in a house under construction. Excerpts of the 911 transcript come from the Brunswick News. In that call, he made it clear that there was no immediate break-in. And here's what the 911 call said. There's a guy in the house right now. It's under construction, the man told the dispatcher. The man then gave her an address. And you said someone's breaking into right now? The dispatcher asked. No, the man replied. It's all open. It's under construction. The man interrupted to say Arbery was leaving, and there he goes right now. That's fine, the dispatcher said. I'll get police out there. I just need to know what he was doing wrong. Was he just at the premises or not supposed to be? The next sentence is garbled. He has been caught on the camera a bunch at night. Is kind of an ongoing thing. This man building the house has got heart issues. I think he's not going to finish it. Okay, that's fine, the dispatcher said. And you said he was a male in a black t-shirt? White t-shirt, the man said. A black guy in a white t-shirt. He's done run into the neighborhood again. Minutes later, another person called 911. Here's how the Brunswick News described the conversation. I'm out here at Satellite Shores, the man said. There's a black man running down the street. Where at Satellite Shores? Dispatcher said. I don't know what street we're on. The man replied. Stop. He can be heard shouting. Watch that. Stop. Damn it. Stop. Then that call went blank for several minutes, with the dispatcher trying several times to reach the caller. The call eventually hangs up. So obviously, from the 911 calls, there was actually no report of crime. All the guy said was that he was just running through a construction site, which is not a crime. Actually, it's not really a crime when it's open like that. I mean, unless he was taking stuff, which is, again, there's no evidence that he did. He was just running through it. It's not a crime at all. And then other 911 call where he's saying a black male running down the street. I'm sorry. I mean, when is that? Why does that issue, how's that an emergency? Why do you need to call 911 for that? I mean, that doesn't make sense at all. Alright, but the piece continues right here. At some point in his sequence, a man named Gregory McMichael saw Arbery alleging hauling ass down the street. It's unclear at this point if Michael was one of the 911 callers. Arbery's friends and family said that Arbery liked to stay fit and that he often went jogging in and around his neighborhood. McMichael told the police that there had been several break-ins in the neighborhood, and the suspect was caught on surveillance video. McMichael grabbed his 357 Magnum revolver, while his son Travis grabbed a shotgun, and they began pursuing Arbery and their vehicle. Why did they arm themselves? McMichael said that he was concerned Arbery was armed because the other night he had seen him stick his hands down his pants. What? I mean, okay. From the police report, it appears that there were 2 vehicles and 3 individuals involved in the chase. McMichael said he tried to cut off Arbery down the road, so did an individual named Rhodey. McMichael then says that he got into the bed of a pickup truck and continued the pursuit. Here's how the police report described the fatal final encounter. McMichael stated they saw the unidentified male and shouted, "Stop, stop, we want to talk to you." McMichael stated they pulled up beside the male and shouted, "Stop," again, at which time Travis exited his truck with a shotgun. McMichael stated the unidentified male began to violently attack Travis, and the 2 men then started fighting over the shotgun, at which point Travis fired a shot, and a second later there was a second shot. McMichael stated the male fell face down on the pavement with his hand under his body. McMichael stated he rolled over the man over to see if the male had a weapon. As Arbery approached the truck, he was wearing what looked like workout clothes and running with his hands in clear view. He was not holding a weapon. If you watch the video, you can already spot the one clear problem. The video doesn't depict McMichael pulling up beside Arbery, but it shows him waiting and blocking the road with his truck. Arbery changed direction to avoid the truck. Travis McMichael moved to intercept Arbery while he holding his shotgun. The 2 scuffled. It's not clear who initiated contact, and then Travis fired 3 shots. And he continues right here. Some context. The Brunswick News, thank God for digital and local media, noted that only one burglary has been reported to local police since between January 1st and the day of the shooting. On January 1st, someone allegedly stole a 9mm handgun from a pickup truck outside Travis McMichael's home. In Brunswick, a resident named Larry English also told the Daily Beast that someone stole $2,500 in fishing equipment from his property, an alleged loss he did not report to the police. It is also worth noting that Greg McMichael is a former police detective, investigator for the Brunswick District Attorney's Office. According to the New York Times, Glenn County District Attorney Jackie Johnson recused herself from the case because of McMichael's prior work for her office. A second district attorney, George Barnhill, also stepped away from the case, but not before writing a letter explaining why he believed there is a insufficient probable case to issue arrest warrants at this time. So yeah, it continues right here. His argument was simple. The 3 men were in hot pursuit of a burglary suspect with solid first-hand probable cause in the effort to execute a citizen's arrest. Moreover, he argues open carrying weapons is lawful in Georgia, and the shooting occurred only after Arbery attacked Travis McMichael and tried to grab the shotgun. Again, if someone came up to you with a shotgun, like trying to stop you from when you're jogging, I mean, you have every right to try to defend yourself if you feel that your life is in danger at that point. So I mean, the whole like self-defense thing that these guys are trying to pull, it's not going to work. I mean, obviously Arbery was trying to do self-defense himself. Georgia law does indeed permit a person to execute a citizen's arrest in a very narrow circumstance. The relevant false arrest statute holds that a private person may arrest an offender if the offense is committed in his presence or within his immediate knowledge. If the offense is a felony and the offender is escaping or attempting to escape, a private person may arrest him upon reasonable and probable grounds of suspicion. Once the citizen's arrest is properly made, Georgia law requires that a citizen to take a suspect before a judicial officer or a peace officer without any unnecessary delay. It is also true, however, that an unlawful attempt to take and hold a person itself is a crime. False imprisonment. Under Georgia law, a person commits the crime of false imprisonment when in violation of the personal liberty of another. He arrests, confines, or detains such a person without legal authority. Moreover, according to Georgia's case law, one cannot use this citizen's arrest statute to question a suspect. In fact, they stated in stating an intention to question a suspect can be evidence that the individual claiming a right to make a citizen's arrest is uncertain and did not have immediate knowledge that the victim had been the perpetrator of an alleged crime. Now here's what French puts that law into this case right here with the facts. Now let's apply the law to the facts. On the day Arbery died, a 911 caller said a man matching Arbery's description was walking inside a vacant construction site. Another caller said that there was a black male running down the street. Gregory McMichael claimed he recognized Arbery from surveillance video after several break-ins in the neighborhood. The only offense committed in anyone's presence is the report of a person walking into a construction site. If that merits mounting up an armed three-person, two-vehicle posse to chase down a man in broad daylight and menace him with weapons, then many of us are lucky to be alive and free. Just last week, I walked into a house under construction in my neighborhood and took out some new floor plans. I didn't even think to check for an armed gang charging down the street. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, so he basically goes through facts by facts to make a case that there's definitely, like, unlawful, like, this is unjustified murder all the way around. Fortunately, there's no evidence that this Arbery guy committed a crime, like none, and, I mean, they had no justification to actually do a citizen's arrest. So, I mean, again, it's like some guys with guns suddenly came up to try to stop you when you're jogging. I mean, what else are you supposed to think than they're trying to harm you? So I'm sorry. I mean, there's no defense of this. There's actually no defense these guys can make or anybody else can make in terms of them. So I'm going to continue on with that in just a little bit. But first, you got to go over to YouTube or the God and Freedom blog to actually see the rest of the episode. So not only we're going to get to the rest of this, the news today, also I'm going to be going through the book of John today. I'm going to be once again in John chapter 12. Also, I got some good news. I'm going to be starting a new segment of the God and Freedom Show. It's going to be this day in history. I'm going to start that on Monday. It's going to be probably like a 5 to 10 minute video daily. Remember, you can find me on your favorite podcast listening sites like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Otherwise, I'll see y'all next week. This is the God and Freedom Show. right, so let's continue on right here. So, like I said, I mean, again, there's no defense whatsoever of these guys. Like, it was unjustified murder from the beginning. And, like, again, you can go read David's piece for yourself, but he lays out a really good emphasis of why they should be charged with murder. But, of course, there are people, like some, like random people on the right, who are trying to defend these folks, these two guys, because they're claiming that these guys were only doing self-defense because he charged them. Again, I mean, he had every right to charge them because they were coming at him with guns. So, I mean, again, there's no justification for them even go after him in the first place. So I just don't know how you can actually defend these two guys. And also, at the same time, the media, of course, is trying to spin this to make this about broad, nationwide racism and the usual stuff. I mean, honestly, but hopefully, I mean, since like there's pretty much everybody is condemning these two guys, so it's very unlikely you'll blow up like the Trayvon Martin case, for example, because I mean it's pretty clear that this guy was unjustly murdered from the get-go. So, but thankfully these guys were arrested yesterday, and hopefully they'll get a trial and everything, and hopefully will be tried for murder if there is enough evidence. Again, I mean, of course, according to law, they are innocent until proven guilty, but from the evidence I've seen now, they seem to be a case for murder. So, but we'll see what the trial says and all that. Alrighty, so let's move on in terms of news. Let's get into the coronavirus stuff, because yeah, we're on like month, like what is it, month 50 or something like that? No, like I think a month like 2 or on this coronavirus stuff, and it's getting ridiculous. And so, of course, infection rates have gone up, and especially we could see a spike coming soon from coronavirus infection rates and death rates because of states starting to reopen. I mean, that was always known. Everybody knew once we started reopening there will be a spike in cases because I mean everybody's been trapped in their homes and not exposing people to the virus, even if they haven't themselves. So once everything opens and people start going out, there will be a spike in cases. no ifs, ands, or buts. But and also in terms of like kind of economy news, the jobless rates will continue to go up and up. I mean, there is now 30 million people are out of work right now, and 30 million unemployment cases, which is utterly ridiculous. I mean, just again, there's no reason for us to even lock down in the first place. I think we should have done what Sweden did, just simply protect the nursing homes, and protect those who are the most vulnerable, and let everybody else like go out and expose themselves and get herd immunity. That's exactly what Sweden is doing, and it's working. I mean, they won't get a second wave, unlike us, and their number of daily deaths continue to go down as like more people get exposed and develop immunity to it. And what doesn't make sense is that why weren't we like protecting the nursing homes from the get-go? I mean, that's where the vast majority of the deaths are coming from, honestly. I mean, about 45 to 50% of all deaths here in the United States are coming from like nursing homes and people that age. So, I mean, why in the world we're not protecting them? I mean, for example, in New York, like Governor Cuomo, for some stupid reason, decided that any elderly person who was diagnosed with COVID-19, that they had to be led back into a nursing home, which is just stupid and beyond belief. Like, you're letting someone infected with a virus that's deadly to all the people in there, but you're letting them back in, then they infect other folks in there, and so forth. So, I mean, nursing homes should not. I mean, that was just stupid from the beginning. I don't know why Governor Cuomo did that. But in terms of, reopening and everything, states continuing to do that. But again, of course, the left and the media are just all up in arms about it, like saying this is way too soon to reopen and everything. So here is a piece from the New York Times saying the U.S. is nowhere near close to reopening the economy. Experts say. Here's what economists say the United States need to start. Say the United States needs to start returning to normal amid the coronavirus outbreak, and how the economy can survive in the meantime. Again, if we keep a lockdown like this for an infinite amount of time, we won't survive. The economy won't survive. How long can we keep this up? It is still very early in the U.S. effort to snuff out a lethal pandemic of shutting down pretty much down much of the economy. But there is a growing question for workers, the White House, corporate boardrooms, small business on the brink, that hangs over what is essentially a war effort against a virus that has already killed more than 9,000 Americans. There is no good answer yet, in part because we don't even have the data needed to formulate. Essentially, economists say there won't be a fully functioning economy again until people are confident in that they can go about their business without a high risk of catching the virus. Our ability to reopen the economy ultimately depends on our ability to better understand the spread and the risk of the virus, said Betsy Stevenson, a University of Michigan economist who worked on the White House Council of Economic Advisors under President Barack Obama. It's also quite likely that we will need to figure out how to reopen the economy while with the virus remaining a threat. Public health experts are beginning to make predictions about the coronavirus infection rates will peak. Economists are calculating when the cost of continuing to shutter down restaurants, shopping malls, and other businesses, a move that has already pushed some 10 million Americans into unemployment, which is actually 30 million Americans, will outweigh the savings from further efforts to slow the virus once the infection curve is flattened out. Again, by the way, it is important to note is that the goal of flattening the curve was to stop the hospital system from being overrun. That didn't happen. It was not even close to happening. So, I just don't understand why we're continuing to stay locked down. And again, no politicians offering up a solution on how we can go about this, other than saying, "Oh, see, you want to kill grandma if you want to reopen. You're a grandma killer." Something stupid like that, which is obviously not true. But again, we can't stay locked down like this. Like I said, we can't stay like this for months on end. Otherwise, this country is going to be in a deep depression, worse off than the Great Depression. It's going to be a complete hellhole. But again, it seems to be no politicians offering up solutions to how to go about this. Really, the only people doing this are the people the politicians that are only doing this. The only politicians doing this are the states that are starting to reopen, but they're reopening responsibly. Georgia is not willy-nilly reopening. They're doing it responsibly, having certain restrictions on places on how to reopen and everything. So I just don't understand the outrage of the states reopening. And it's important to note also, while it's outrage over, Georgia reopening, Louisiana reopening, Texas reopening, Colorado is doing the same thing, and California is starting to do the same thing, as well as New York. But they're going to praise, just saying, see, these brave governors are making the hard decisions and all that. But while then Governor Kemp is doing the same exact thing, and he's saying, see, he wants to murder black people and he wants to murder Georgians. He's a monster, or whatever. Just it's stupid, so stupid. But here, And speaking of stupidity, here's another stupid piece. This is from The Guardian about Georgia's reopening efforts. So here, goodness gracious, this is just a stupid title in itself. Georgia's COVID-19 reopening pits white governor against black mayors. African Americans account for 54% of the state's known COVID-19 deaths, while the latest mayors unveils her own reopening council. So this is like basically the media trying to make it to where so Governor Kemp is only doing this to kill off the black people or something like that, something stupid like that, which is not the case. On Monday, Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp announced his decision to reopen the state for business. Non-essential businesses, including tattoo parlors, hair salons, and movie theaters and bowling alleys, will be authorized to reopen from Friday if they follow social distance orders. Again, that right there is misleading in itself. They were not authorized to reopen. I mean, they weren't forced to reopen. They had a choice. I mean, Governor Kemp explicitly said that you can reopen if you choose to do so, while following social distancing guidelines. And he saw like plain nail salons and tattoo parlors doing this. Again, a lot of those places are already pretty sanitized already, especially tattoo parlors. And there's definitely ways to go about that while, being vigilant and taking precautions. But I believe like tattoo parlors already wear masks. I could be wrong about that. I mean, actually, I'm not sure. I mean, I do got a tattoo. I just can't remember if my artist had a mask on or not. But he definitely had gloves on. But definitely now they have masks. And then probably they're keeping people distance from other people, distance from each other, and probably, cleaning the areas as much their stations as much as they can, and then having their customers wear masks and gloves too, and sanitizing. So with those precautions, they should be okay. They should be perfectly okay. It continues right here. In a state where African Americans make up more than 32% of the population, but account for an estimated 54% of known coronavirus deaths, the decision pitted a white Republican mayor against mostly black Democratic mayors and critics. Again, the reason for this is not because the virus is targeting black people. It's because it's going to areas, the most popular areas in the city, and that's where most of the African American population in Georgia is settled at, because it's the most heavily, in fact, in the high spots here in Georgia is definitely Fulton County, which is where Atlanta sits. They got Cobb County, DeKalb County, and Gwinnett is, I guess, considered a hot spot, but it's definitely not as bad as Fulton County. And then as you spread out throughout the state, it definitely gets less and less prevalent. And also, there's actually some counties who have not seen any cases at all. And that's probably the more unpopulated state or counties. By trying to push a false opening of the economy, you risk putting more lives in danger, Stacey Abrams, the Democrat who lost to Kemp in a controversial election in 2018. Citing the close contact needed for grooming services, Abrams said there is nothing about the measure that makes sense. Again, there are plenty of ways to go about that service while taking precautions, sanitizing, wearing gloves and masks and all that. There's plenty of that. So basically the goal of this piece is basically trying to pit Governor Kemp against his other mayors, and basically pit white Republicans against blacks right here. Again, I doubt, if Hillary Clinton were president, I doubt we will be getting this right here. I doubt we even heard of this virus at all. I just have my doubts about that. But again, it's just ridiculous that this tells you just how that the virus is not as deadly as people will make it out to be, because it's so divided, so politically divided right now about it. But the problem is that, again, no one is offering a proper solution to where we go from here. I mean, other than there's the only proper solution is to, safely reopen, like slowly, but surely, do it step by step, but do it, not too quick, but reopen as we go. Like just reopen certain business as we go through each phase, and that's what President Trump outlined in his multiple phase reopening strategy. But the people who are pro lockdown, they keep claiming that we gotta wait for like a vaccine or a therapeutic to come out, which could take years for that to come out. So they want to be on lockdown for years on end, which is not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen at all. People are not going to be up for that whatsoever. They're going to be massive civil unrest, and they're going to disobey these orders right here. So we'll see what happens with there. But Twitter is just a big pile of dog poop in terms of this too. Like, so seriously, again, like I said earlier about Andrew Cuomo, he's doing the exact same thing, like, what Florida's doing, what Georgia's doing, and everything, but he's getting praised, and those other governors are doing, and the Georgia and Florida governors are being shellacked over it. So here's a great, tweet from Ben Shapiro, about this. If you doubt the power of the press, recognize that Governor Ron DeSantis handled the COVID-19 in Florida in excellent fashion, while Governor Andrew Cuomo handled it nearly as bad as humanly possible. Yet DeSantis has dropped polls, and Cuomo has high his popularity. It's also important to point out that Governor Cuomo just now, a couple of days ago, ordered to close the subways and to clean them after 115 years, apparently, of them being cleaned. Which is probably not, they've probably been cleaned every once in a while, but seriously, they should have been closed a long time ago. That's been the chief, arbiter of the spread of the virus in New York City, so there's no reason why they should have been open in the first place. And he's exactly right. Governor Cuomo, handled this horribly. But, of course, he's going to try as much as possible to blame President Trump for it, even though it is his state. And he gave power. President Trump gave the power to the states to how to handle their certain situation, which is how it shouldn't. That's how federalism works. You can't treat the whole entire country like New York City. You just can't. So that's why a nationwide lockdown never made sense. But again, just I don't know. Just people are just making just so many bad faith arguments, saying if you're pro opening up, you want to kill grandma, and also some people want to reopen willy nilly without any precautions and throwing out many conspiracy theories and stupid conspiracy theories and I don't know that. But anyways, it's I don't know. I'm tired. I'm tired of this coronavirus stuff, guys. I really am. It just continues to drag on and on and on. So, I think that's all I'm just going to talk about in terms of the coronavirus right now. For right now. But let's see. Next week. But anyways, let's continue. Let's go to scripture right now. Let's just kind of remember we're going to be in John chapter 12. We're going to be starting from verse 20. And remember, you can follow me along if you want, and I'll be the New Living Translation. Jesus predicts his death. Some Greeks who had come to Jerusalem for the Passover celebration paid a visit to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee. They said, "Sir, we want to meet Jesus." Philip told Andrew about it, and they went together to ask Jesus. Jesus replied, "Now the time has come for the Son of Man to enter into his glory. I'll tell you the truth, unless a kernel of wheat is planted in the soils and dies, it remains alone. But as death will produce many new kernels, a plentiful harvest for new lives. Those who love their life in this world will lose it. Those who are caring nothing for their life in this world will keep it for eternity. Anyone who wants to serve me must follow me. because my servants must be where I am, and the Father will honor anyone who serves me. Now my soul is deeply troubled. Should I pray, Father, save me from this hour? But this is the very reason I came. Father, bring glory to your name. Then a voice spoke from heaven, saying, I have already brought glory to my name, and I will do so again. When the crowd heard the voice come, some thought it was a thunder, while others declared it was an angel had spoken to him. Then Jesus told them, the voice was for your benefit, not mine. The time for judging this world has come. But when Satan, the ruler of this world, will be cast out, and when I am lifted up from the earth, and I will draw everyone to myself. He said this to indicate how he was going to die. The crowd responded, we understand from Scripture that Messiah would live forever. How can you say the Son of Man will die? Just who was the Son of Man anyway? Jesus replied, my light will shine for you just a little longer. Walk in the light while you can, and the darkness will not overtake you. Those who walk in the darkness cannot see where they are going. Put your trust in the light while there is still time. Then you will become children of the light. After saying these things, Jesus went away and was hidden from them. So that's from verse 20 to 36, and it's a really good passage. Basically, Jesus, one of his first predictions of how he's going to die and everything. So it's very, very interesting. Very sorry. Here we go. So next we're gonna probably finish up chapter 12. So we'll see then. Alright, so let's get into some good stuff and bad stuff of the week. So some good stuff this week. So Clone Wars is officially done. They actually aired their final episode on May 4th. May the 4th, which is Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. So, and it was an excellent finale. I mean, honestly, the last 4 episodes of season 7 were fantastic. Like the best piece of Star Wars material to come out in years. Probably since, I don't know. I mean, I would say almost probably since the originals. I mean, it was that good. So for those who say Star Wars is dead, I mean, go watch Clone Wars. Star Wars is far from dead. But here is the final scene from the final episode of the Clone Wars. It's quite interesting. Here's the video right here. So yeah, that's the ending for Clone Wars right there. And to kind of give you context of what the scene is about, here's the spoilers for the season right here. Basically, after Order 66 is declared and Rex got his inherited chip removed, both him and Ahsoka are trying to escape the ship, and ends up crashing this planet. And every clone on the every officer, dies except for Ahsoka and Rex. And basically, they kind of bury them in the area, and then both Rex and Ahsoka fake their death, so they put their Rex put his helmet, and she put her lightsabers in the area too. And that was basically Vader coming up to, coming up to there and seeing, obviously recognizing that Ahsoka's lightsaber and thinking that she is definitely dead. And yeah, so Anakin's obviously an emotional wreck in this scene, so it's very, very interesting. But again, Star Wars is far from dead, despite what people would say. Yes, the sequel trilogy, was pretty bad, but Dave Filoni has done some amazing work with Star Wars, and he should have been in charge of the sequel trilogy. He would have done excellent work with it. But yeah, that's Clone Wars right there. There's a lot of good shows. Fortunately, Clone Wars is done right now. But shows like Lost. So we're watching Lost again, and then The Chosen. Chosen is just great. You definitely go check out The Chosen. It's fantastic. Alright, so let's get to some bad stuff of the week. So some bad stuff of the week. To kind of end this episode off with more coronavirus related stuff. So basically, if you noticed on Twitter a couple days ago, there's this, a name called named Bethany Mandel. Her name was trending on Twitter. Why? Because she put out this thread. She had the audacity to put out this thread on Twitter. And here's what the thread said. Remember when we were told we had to flatten the curve and we locked down for a few weeks to ramp up PPE and free up ventilators, or else we'd have to start death panels. When did that turn into indefinite lockdowns and economic destruction because if it saves one life? This isn't about greed, it's survival. People can't buy food or pay rent or mortgages. Small businesses are closing, dentists and doctors are going into the red. Schools are going to start closing, and this is the destruction of a society we're talking about. There will be no pedestrians or pediatricians or general doctors or physical therapists or nurses or home health aides. No dentists, no zoos, aquariums, no private schools, no restaurants or caterers, no hairdressers, nail salon technicians, no gyms, no summer camps or daycares. We never had a ventilator shortage. My local pediatric ER converted to COVID ward now since empty. What are we waiting on here? I genuinely like an answer. A vaccine? Because if that's it, our society will be absolutely wrecked in the meantime. Alright, so sorry about the random cut. Apparently my video once again stopped randomly, and I had to delete some other files because it ran out of space. So that's fun stuff, very fun stuff. But let's continue where I actually left off, because I actually had to finish. I finished the video. I thought I finished the video. Go back, saying, "Oh wait, I didn't." It stopped in the middle of when I was talking. But where was I? Okay, I was on this tweet right here. You can call me Grandma Killer. I'm not sacrificing my home, my food on the table. All of our docs and dentists, every form of pleasure, museums, zoos, and restaurants. All my kids, teachers, in order to make other people comfortable. If you want to stay locked down, do. I'm not. Doesn't mean it won't be done responsibly. But I'm done. I feel lied to about the terms of this lockdown, and I regret ever trusting that it would be done responsibly. But of course, there was massive outrage over this thing. Her tweet, there was her again, once again, like I said, was her name was trending on Twitter along with the grandma killer. And here's some just tweets from the whole thread right here. This whole thread is evidence that those who are being asked to sacrifice the least are behaving like the most aggrieved. Take your privilege for once in your life. Sorry, I'm just scrolling some tweets to find some that just, Here's some guy named Joe Lockhart. You're a grandma killer, yes, but you're also a nurse killer, a doctor killer, a cop killer, a grocery clerk killer, a student killer, a 5-year-old killer, a five-year-old killer, a bus driver killer, a father killer who just had a child killer, a family killer, a good people take care of the community. So that's fun. So they're calling her pretty much a murderer for saying that she wants this country to reopen. So this is kind of bad faith. Our groups are talking about the people calling you killers and murderers because you dare to want to reopen this country responsibly. Even though there's some evidence saying that lockdowns never really worked in the first place. Alright, we'll see what happens. So I think that's all I have for this episode. So I'll be back here next week with all the latest. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God and Freedom Show. If you enjoyed this episode of the God and Freedom Show, hit that like button and follow the page to get more content. You can also find me on your favorite podcast listening sites like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Thank you for listening or watching.